We are now less than 3 weeks away from the release of F1 23, and with the pre-order 3-day early access meaning the game is just over 2 weeks away, players are starting to ask should they buy the game. After F1 22's mixed reception, we can understand the trepidation around this year's F1 entry, but after getting an early look at the game, I'm Mark from RacingGames, and here are 5 reasons you should buy F1 23. Arguably the most important reason to buy F1 23 is the new handling model. Gone are the days of the F1 fidget spinner, as Codemasters have adjusted the traction to give players more confidence in low gear acceleration. This means no more flying off the track into a barrier or gravel trap on the exit of every slow corner, and no more facing the wrong way on race starts either. We were able to turn traction control completely off in our preview build and still point the car in the right direction, a huge change from last year. The learning curve for the handling also feels more natural. There's still a challenge to master when to push and when to hold back, but this year it's a lot less punishing if you make a mistake. The handling still isn't completely perfect, and the chance of locking up the brakes has increased with the new changes, but compared to F1 22, the handling is a massive upgrade, and players looking for a return to the F1 2020 and F1 2021 handling need to get F1 23. Check out our full reaction to the new handling in the card on the screen now. So the handling has been fixed, but it's not just in the cars where Codemasters have listened to the fans. For the first time since F1 2014, red flags are back. If you do make a mistake on track and take yourself out of the race, or even if the weather takes a sudden turn for the wet, red flags are back to pause the race. During these stoppages, provided you didn't cause it of course, you can now change tyres, adjust your race strategy, and even fix minor damage to the car. It's a small addition in the grand scheme of things, but considering fans have been asking for the return of red flags for so long, it's great to see Codemasters being able to add them to F1 23. There's an extra element to consider now when setting up for a race. As well as gambling for a safety car for a pit stop, players can instead hope for a red flag and essentially stop for free. Whether or not red flags were reintroduced to compete with the F1 Manager series, we'll never know. We're just glad they're back in F1 23. Racing online with friends can be fun in the F1 series, but we think the single player experience is still the main selling point each year. After being absent last year, Breaking Point is back in F1 23 with the creatively named Breaking Point 2. Obvious name aside, Breaking Point 2 is better than ever this year, with Aiden Jackson and Devon Butler both returning, now as teammates at the fledgling Connor Sport Butler racing team. Alongside the warring teammates, Breaking Point 2 introduces a wide range of new characters, including Devon's younger sister Callie Mayer, the current F2 champion. Playing out across consecutive F1 seasons, Breaking Point 2 has taken everything great about the original Breaking Point and dialed it up to 11. This year we have Grid Legends inspired cutscenes, high octane racing, and plenty of friction between team members to really ramp up the action. Adding a story to F1 sounds controversial, but just like with Drive to Survive, it adds a layer of personality to the sport, and Breaking Point 2 seems to scratch that itch perfectly in F1 23. You can check out our response to the Breaking Point 2 deep dive by clicking the card on screen now. So the handling is improved, red flags are back, and Connor Sport are set to take on the rest of the grid. But there's a whole new area of F1 23 to explore. Replacing F1 22's F1 Life, F1 World is your new go-to hub for Grand Prix, time trial, and online racing. Bringing all these game modes into a single location seems like a no-brainer to us, and for those worried about a repeat of F1 Life, we can assure you F1 World is very different. Yes, the supercars are back, but now as part of the Solo series. The Solo series acts like a driving school, teaching you the basics for how to handle an F2 or F1 car, and even how to drift around a circuit in a supercar. We get strong Gran Turismo 7 license test vibes from the Solo series, which is not a bad thing by any stretch. Combined with daily, weekly, and even seasonal events based on the real F1 2023 calendar, along with a new F1 World car and team to level up and upgrade by unlocking tech levels, an F1 World has a level of depth that F1 Life could never quite reach. Oh, and we can't talk about F1 World and not mention the new driver ranking and safety rating systems coming to F1 23. How you race on track now affects your license level, with reckless driving having more of an impact than ever before. Again, this was a much requested feature last year, so it's great to see Cody's listening once again. As for the driver rankings, these act like divisions, with the highest ranked drivers in each division being promoted to the next tier. Drivers in the Elite division can compare themselves to the best F1 drivers around the world, along with unlocking additional rewards and perks. Overall, F1 World is a nice addition to F1 23. Taking everything great about the online experience and putting it in a single hub is a genius idea. Finally, you should buy F1 23 for the new drivers, icons and tracks. The F1 2023 season sees the debuts of Oscar Piastri and Logan Sargent, the full-time debut of Nick de Vries, and the long-awaited return of Nico Hülkenberg. We also have the driver swaps, with Pierre Gasly moving to Alpine to replace the Aston Martin-bound Fernando Alonso. For those who like to keep their driver rosters up to date, F1 23 has all the changes ready to race. There are also the new icons coming to this year's game. F1 World Champion Nigel Mansell, multiple W Series champion Jamie Chadwick, F1 race winner Pastor Maldonado, and F1 legend Kamui Kobayashi are all being added this year as My Team icons, giving players plenty of new options for who to conquer the F1 grid with. Finally, we have the new tracks. We already know Paul Ricard, Shanghai and Portimao are returning as bonus tracks this year, but what we're excited about are the F1 debuts of the Losail International Circuit in Qatar and the Las Vegas Street Circuit in, well, Las Vegas. We've already been given a preview of Las Vegas, and boy is it looking good. We can't wait to race around Sin City and down the Vegas Strip. So for those just as excited as us, that's reason alone to buy F1 23. We still don't know for sure if the track changes to Spa, the Red Bull Ring and Jeddah will be in the game from launch, but we're hoping these changes will be made to these tracks at some point in F1 23's life cycle. So those are our 5 reasons to buy F1 23. What do you think? Are you now excited to get your hands on F1 23, or are you still on the pit wall fence? Let us know down below, and why not subscribe to the channel while you're there for all things F1 23. For now though, thanks for watching. I've been Mark from RacingGames, and we'll catch you here on the channel for another video soon.